Hello there, everyone. Erin Lee here of heavenlymessenger.com, and welcome to this evening's Connection with Intention. As you can see, I currently have the banner up asking you to hold on to your questions for a little while. I've started doing that. I started doing that about a month ago or so, and it seems to give people more opportunity to put in their questions once we actually come to doing the question. So I'll ask you to hold on to your questions for just a moment, but please feel free to say hello. I'm so incredibly excited that you're here, especially given the hiatus that we took and that it's been about a month since we've last connected this way. So thank you so much for joining me. It's always a pleasure for me to be able to connect with you in this way. And I'm really grateful for the time that you're taking out of your day to be here with me too. So I've been sitting here the last 15 minutes or so, grounding, connecting in, feeling, asking, what are we going to talk about? I pulled a couple of cards, and of course I've really been feeling Archangel Michael and Archangel Ariel around me a lot lately. I'm like, great, they've shown up in the cards. Let's talk and connect with them. And then I realized what I'm actually going to talk a little bit about is about me and where I've been, because I suspect that it is also where other people have been as well. So I realized that in myself, I'm feeling really raw. There's a lot of rawness that is present. As somebody who is clairsentient or empathic is also a word, I'm picking up on a lot of the stuff that's going on right now, feeling and experiencing everybody's dysregulation, plus experiencing my own. Over the last 8 months or so, I've created a lot of space in my life, which has in essence allowed me to do more work on myself, which has been great. When you are a person who wants to give, who loves to give, it's really easy to put your own stuff on the side. And I've come to realize that that's a big part of what I've been doing. And so the opportunity has been pushed upon me to take time to do that. So that's part of the reason that we haven't had a connection with intention through the month of April, because I took a lot of that time off. And also, if you've emailed me in the last month or so, you likely haven't received a response. My apologies. It's been all I could do to maintain and balance me and my stuff. And I haven't had the energy to balance and to support and to offer that to other people. So as I'm learning this new wave and balance that has come into my energy and into my life, my hope is that there will be greater opportunity for that. So on that note, I have received a lot of requests from people for in-person readings or courses and classes now that restrictions are being lifted in the area that I live in. And I'll just put it out there, I'm not planning on doing in-person sessions at least until July. There's a lot of shift that's been happening around my home. We have construction, a new house that's being built next door to the property that I live on. We have renovation that is literally happening right outside my window as we have septic and landscaping done. So there's a lot of shift and change that's happening, and I won't be seeing people in person for a while, but I do have a form on my website if you want to be notified of when that's going to be happening. Possibly there will be courses and classes this summer. I'm not sure because there's the construction on the one side, but then on the other side of us, the home, it seems to have become either a vacation home, a rental property for the family that owns it, and or Airbnb. So that makes it a little bit challenging, given that that's the spot that we use when we see people for courses and classes when we're outside. So that's kind of where things are right now. I loved Archangel Michael and Ariel popping up in the cards that I pulled this evening, because they have very similar energies and they work really well together. And a lot of what they're saying is cut right to the chase. Don't beat around the bush, and clear things out. And so certainly that meant a lot to me with where I am. And it feels like there are a lot of other people who may be in similar place and similar experience. So let me know in the comments, how have you guys been feeling the last month or so? In a lot of ways, I felt really disconnected from the bigger world because I've secluded myself a bit to maintain myself in balance. So yeah, let me know. So we'll go on. We'll say hello to everybody who's here. And then I thought we would do a choose your own adventure crystal card reading so that everybody gets the opportunity to have a question read, in that you are able to choose an answer for yourself. And then we'll pop into the questions. So hello to Jenna. It's always so good to see you. And Ange, oh my goodness, I know that I have messages from you. Hi, Suzanne and Catherine and Valerie. It's wonderful to see all of you this evening. Thanks for joining us. And Ba and JC and Brianne. Cassandra, hello. Thanks for joining us. JC saying she feels confused. Yeah, there's a lot. I'm feeling the need for a lot of grounding. And the other thing that's really come up strongly for me recently too is the importance of routine. And if I go back to my high school years, that was probably the time that there was the most routine in my life. I hated it because I was a teenager and I hated the idea of routine and being restricted, but my body worked really well then. And that's only partly an age thing, I'm sure. Hello to Valerie and Josie. It's wonderful to see all of you. Thank you for joining me. Okay, so I will start opening it up to questions as we start to move into the choose your own adventure questions. So when you ask your questions this evening, please ask a specific question. If you want me to use a card deck, please mention it in the same question, in the same comment, because I don't see them if you ask in another comment. So the card decks that we have this evening are the blue deck, which is the Mermaids and Dolphins, the yellow deck, which is the Archangel Oracle card deck, and we have the green deck, which is the Messages from Your Angel Oracle card deck. All right, so our crystal choices for the evening, from left to right, we have citrine, blue apatite, and clear quartz. And I've just decided we're going to move these around a little bit. So, oops, I didn't want to take that out just yet. Okay, so take a moment, think about any questions or a question or questions that you may have, and sit with them and clear your mind. Take a couple of deep breaths and focus on the question or questions that you're asking. And then what I invite you to do is to choose a crystal that will represent the answer that you are needing for this question. So again, from left to right, we have citrine, blue apatite, and clear quartz. I'll leave this here as I pull the card. So the first card that I'm pulling is for people who've chosen citrine. We have the next card for people who have chosen blue apatite. And the last card is clear quartz. All right. So if you've chosen citrine, then the card that we have for you this evening, this is the Archangel Oracle card deck. We have the Clear Your Space card. This is Archangel Jophiel, and her message is get rid of clutter, clear the energy around you, and use Feng Shui. I mean, to me, this actually goes back to the bigger experience that I was sharing earlier with just clearing things out, cleaning things out of the way, getting it out, moving, creating space. So when we clear our space, there are a lot of things we can do. We can focus on the physical things that are around us. We can clean and clear those out. Sometimes we hold on to things that we no longer need, or we think we're going to have a reason for them, or we just haven't gone through the process with them. So the encouragement that's coming here is to take a look at all aspects of your life. What are you holding on to that's no longer serving you? Whether it's a physical thing, whether it's an emotional thing or a belief thing or a mindset, and see how you can create beauty in your life as you release and let go of those things that no longer serve you. If you chose the middle card, which is blue apatite, your card is from the Mermaid and Dolphin Oracle card deck. And the card that we have here is the Let Yourself Receive card. Allow others to give you loving care. Receive without guilt or apologies. And this one can be really tricky for anybody who is a giver. it can be really difficult for us to allow ourselves to receive, allow others to support us, to encourage us, or to help us. And particularly if the things that they're offering help in are the things that we know that we can do, that we can take care of ourselves. Just because you can do something doesn't mean that you shouldn't accept help, particularly if you could benefit from the help that's being offered. One of the ways that I've come to look at allowing myself to receive is giving the gift of giving to somebody else. One of the reasons that we often enjoy giving to other people is because it makes us feel good. Think about the last time that you were able to help somebody and it just felt really good because you took a burden off of their shoulders, or you help them to find some peace or some relief, or you just took something off of the long to-do list that feels like it's never ending. That joy, that gratitude that you experience in being able to give and to support somebody else, that's a really incredible gift to be able to give somebody else. So if you've chosen the blue apatite, the middle crystal this week, look for ways that you can allow others to help and support you through the coming week. And the last card we have is for clear quartz. If you chose the last card, the clear quartz card, the card that we have for you, this is the messages from your angels, and it's the Azure card. And her message is, your desired outcome will occur in the very near future. Have patience and faith, and don't try to force it to happen. So this is definitely a card that feels really uplifting. It's supportive. It's a lot of encouragement to continue on the course that you're going on, or to continue with the things, the thoughts and the ideas that you have about changes that you're possibly wanting to make, either for yourself or in the situation that you're asking about. But basically, it's saying to keep the course, that you're on the right track, you're on the right path, and it has a very uplifted feeling to it. One of the things that I'm hearing as we're talking about this card is the importance of energy clearing around yourself. So if you are somebody who works with crystals, this can be a really great time to incorporate crystals into your work, making sure that you clear them on a regular basis. And also, this is a really great time for sea salt baths. As somebody who doesn't have easy access to a bathtub, that's me. One of the things that you can do is you can take a handful of salt into the shower with you, and you can hold it against your chest, against your heart, and allow the water to flow through, and that can work. Also, sea salt scrubs can be a really great way to incorporate that salt energy and literally bring it all over your body. Please don't put it on your face. That's a big no-no. But anywhere else on your body, as long as you don't have any sort of abrasion there, sea salt scrubs can be a really positive and pampering way to bring sea energy and the salt clearing energy into your life. All right, so let's take a look and see about the questions that we have. Oh, amazing. You guys are awesome. So I'm just going to see if there's anybody that I've missed. Oh, and Annika, hello. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Okay, so the first question that I have here is from Jenna. Hi, Jenna. Jenna's asking, any insight from the magical mermaids? Good job. And dolphins, if finances will come through for our move, will I be able to heal from the burnout I'm experiencing, and will I be able to pursue self-employment to support myself and my family? Okay, let's take a look and see what we have. That's kind of a couple of questions all together. So the first thing that I'm hearing and feeling is yes, to in terms of being able to pursue self-employment to support yourself and your family, but I'm hearing take some time. It's really important not to push yourself right now, and for the foreseeable future. The feeling that I have is that there's a need to be really making sure that you're supporting yourself. It does feel like there are little things that you're going to be able to do to incorporate, to allow you to start bringing some income in that supports the family. But what I keep seeing is taking pressure off of yourself. So now is not the time to be putting a lot of pressure on yourself if you can avoid it. I mean, I realize that stress is kind of one of those things that's just part of modern day life. But as much as you are able, take stress off, say no where you need to, where you can, and focus on the things that you can do that bring you joy, because those are the things that are actually going to open up the pathway for self-employment for you in the future. But the question that I'm most wanting to take a look at is finances for your move. I'm getting 1, 2, 3, like a hop, step, and jump. So it feels like there are possibly a couple of hoops is perhaps the word I want to use, in order to help bring finances into the situation that you're in right now. But it does feel like it's doable. I am seeing a lot of manifestation work that you're doing. So really wanting to encourage you to utilize the energy of the new moon and the full moon. We are going to be coming up on the full moon in about a week. The new moon was it this past weekend? Oh, sorry. No, it's about 2 weeks until the full moon. So we're actually still in the tail end of the energy of the new moon. So this is a great time to set some intentions for manifestation. But when we come up to the full moon, do a great big huge cleanse. Let go of the things you've been holding on to. Let go of the belief systems around, I can't have that, or like looking at self-employment, any belief systems that you may have that you've learned likely along the way, that I can't support myself doing something that I love that allows me to be healthy. So it feels like you've got a couple of really intense months. Sorry, intense isn't quite the right word. Powerful. You have a couple of powerful months coming up that are going to help you lay the groundwork and the foundation for the future. And I have to laugh because the card that we've pulled for you is the self-employment card, Miss Jenna. So this message is, you're a born entrepreneur and your business is surrounded by magical opportunities. I don't think that I could have gone through and asked for a better card for you. My intention with the card was actually to ask about finances as I was shuffling. And so, finances are going to come to you through the self-employment work that you do. So don't give up on that idea. But I'm also hearing taking it slow. Don't rush. And I want to encourage you to have a bit of a plan too. And I'm also seeing manifestation bookkeeping. This is one of the things that I did way back that I've actually been thinking about doing again. When I track and record the revenues that I have, I put it into an Excel spreadsheet. And what I would do is I would create a manifestation Excel spreadsheet where I would put in the number of different types of readings that I'd want to have throughout the month, and setting that intention. I'd only have to do it for a month, and then my calendar would be full. So I'm seeing something similar happening for you too, Jenna. It is always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, healing, and support your way. Okay, we've got JC here. Hi, JC. It's always so good to see you. Hold on a sec. I think that possibly part of JC's message got cut off. So I'm just scrolling down. So JC says that they have been going to the island, and I am asking about my son. I would like messages from the angels and the clear quartz. Well, that was perfect. I'm so glad that you chose clear quartz, because that was the messages from the angels card that we chose. Okay, so let's take a look and see what we have coming up. So when I ask about your son and I tap in, I have a lot that's coming up in root and sacral chakras. So the root is basically at the base of the spine. It's a little bit lower than that, but we'll call it the base of the spine. And also the sacral chakra, which is just a little bit above, and it's slightly above the pubic bone. And those are the two chakras that are kind of washing over me as I connect with him. I see this as being really positive because we ground and we earth through the root. The sacral chakra has to do with passion, with life, with creation, with experience. They're very grounded, rooted and solid chakras to be coming up with him. And so the feeling that I have is that he is connecting more and more deeply and confidently with the energy of the earth. In the past, when I've connected with him, he has been walking between two worlds, is really the way that I would describe it. But what he is showing me now is he is becoming more and more grounded and present in the physical reality. And that's feeling really positive. I am going back to the clear quartz card that we had with the messages that came through around being on the right track, to know that everything that you are working on and working towards is coming together, is coming through, and to not force and not push, but to trust that everything that you are doing is working and is coming together. Let's see, we'll choose another card for you, JC, and just see what's coming up. So the card that we have is the Desiree card, and her message is, no, conditions aren't favorable right now. Wait or look into other options and ask the angels to help guide and comfort you. So what I would say with this card coming up is that everything is working, but to continue doing what you're doing, but also to recognize that the timing isn't quite right. To me, this is definitely a card that talks about timing and where that energy and where that flow is. So even though he is coming more and more into the physical experience, there's a sense of not quite being ready yet to rejoin in a really physical way, but he is feeling healthy, he is feeling well, and he's showing me being fed, that he is being fed, that he is eating, and that he is starting to take care of his physical body more than perhaps he has in the past. And again, I see that as being a really positive thing. JC, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support to you, to the family, and to your son as well. All right, we've got Josie. Sorry, we've got Josie here. Hi, Josie. It's always good to see you. Josie's asking about her back. It's been very sore. And as soon as I hear, I tap in rather, I hear you sighing and releasing, and it feels like there's a weight that you are carrying. This is a long-term weight. This isn't something new. This is something that you are holding on your back. And in fact, it's less back that I'm feeling, but more neck and shoulders. And I feel like my head is being pushed down forward. I'm wanting to elongate your back. Now, all this said, I would encourage you to check in with physio or chiropractic, or if there is somebody that you currently work with on that structural level, just to make sure that there isn't something that's bigger that I'm just not sensing and picking up on. But basically what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to let go of weight and stress that it feels like you're holding on to. And I'm wanting to encourage an elongation in through your neck and spine, and gentle, very gentle movement, because everything is feeling really tight. And it's interesting because I'm hearing and seeing you experiencing pain, but what I'm feeling feels like it might even be more. And I wonder, one of the things that I've noticed with having dealt with back pain from injury is sometimes you can be in pain for so long, and a little bit here and a little bit there, and it just kind of adds up over time, but we acclimate to it very quickly. Same with stress, just a little bit at the time until we're carrying so much. And it feels like that might be part of where you are right now. Because if we were to take all of the pain away, and then you were to have a little bit of it come back, feels like you would realize that what you're experiencing is greater than what you are feeling, because it came along quite slowly. So I do want to encourage you to really be careful with your back and to take good care. As I said, I want to encourage you to connect with physio or chiropractic, whoever or whatever feels comfortable, because it feels like there's the need to bring in some movement. But part of it is definitely feeling stress and responsibility related as well. So if there are ways to release or to let go of some of that stress, I'd encourage you to do so. That message has come up a couple of times this evening, and I recognize we live in a really stressful time, and that just seems to be kind of part of our experience. But where you can, let it go. I love this. So the card that we have for you this evening, this is the Archangel Oracle card deck, is the Angel Therapy card. This is Archangel Raphael. His message is, give your cares and worries to us angels and allow us to take your burdens. I don't think I could have gone through and chosen a better card for you this evening, Josie. So what I do with this card when this message comes up is I call in my angels and I say, angels, this is what I'm dealing with. This is what I'm holding. And I talk to them as if they are not only my best friend, so I can tell them anything. But also, I tell them with the expectation that they're able to do something to help. Because when we speak with that intention, with that expectation that something that there's something that can be done that can help, we actually are taking it off of our shoulders and off of our chest, and we are giving it over. And that's a big part of what Archangel Raphael is asking for you to do, is to give over what you are holding on to, because it feels like there isn't any purpose in you holding on to it, except that it pulls you down. And Archangel Raphael is also the angel who helps and supports us with physical healing, and he helps and supports us in finding the people that we need to support us in our healing journey. So if you aren't currently working with chiro or physio, but you would like to, call on Archangel Raphael and ask him to guide you to the person or people who will best be able to help and support you in a way that works for you on all levels. Josie, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. And obviously, Archangel Raphael asking him for help and support for you too. All right. We've got Kayla here. Hi, Kayla. Thanks for joining us. Kayla's wondering what we see for her husband and her with regards to a possible big relocation. Actually, I've got a lot of anticipation that's coming up with it. It feels like this is less about an if, and it's more about a when. So the sense that I have is that you do have a fairly good size relocation that's coming up, but I'm having a hard time pinning down timeline and time frame because it kind of keeps jumping around. So that says to me that there are things that are needing to be decided or addressed. And there's part of me that feels like you have a good idea of where you want to or will be going, but that feels like that's shifting as well. I do have September coming up as being a really significant time. It also feels like it's a fairly positive time as well, where everything feels like it's kind of coming together. So I wonder if you will be staying where you are for at least the next couple of months through August, likely, and that as we start to shift into the fall, that everything kind of comes into place. And as I start talking about things coming into place, I'm seeing the Rubik's Cube with all of the colors lining up. So that says to me that whatever is kind of jumbling around right now feels like it's being addressed. So what I would say is that there are some decisions that are needing to be made, and possibly that you're needing to look into options, or there's something that you're needing to look into. And once you do that, once you make those choices and decisions, it's almost like you create the space. The way that I'm seeing it is as if you were building like a fort. And without the fort, you're in the middle of a snowball fight, right? But each of the blocks or the bricks that you put up, that you create around, each of those represents a decision. And as you make a decision, then it helps to create that space that you're going to move into. So the biggest thing that I'm seeing is the decision-making process, that decisions are needing to be made in order for things to start moving along. But that September is feeling like a really positive time, and it's feeling really grounded. And if you haven't made the move at that point, it feels like you're getting everything ready and together. And it's just, as I said, it's not a matter of if, but it's a matter of when. We're going to go to the mermaids and dolphins, and we're just going to ask what messages are coming up for Kayla and her husband with their move. Interesting. So the card that we have coming up here is the Mother Healing card. The message is, as your feelings towards your mother heal, your desires manifest more rapidly and accurately. So this is always kind of an unusual card to come up for things that are outside of relationships with parents in particular. Usually this card will come up in this type of situation because there is something that you are needing to heal, either from the thoughts and the ideas that you or your husband have learned from a parent. This can have to do with, how we support ourselves, how we nurture ourselves, how we care for ourselves. A lot of what will come up are things like, well, that's a really silly way to spend money, or you couldn't possibly make money that way. You couldn't possibly leave your family and do this. Or it can have to do with a sense of obligation that is possibly being felt as well. So there is something that's coming up here. I see that as being kind of secondary because, as I said, the decisions are the big thing that's coming through for you guys. I'm so incredibly excited for the move that you will be making because it feels like it's a really positive one. It feels like it's opening a lot of doors. It doesn't feel like it's necessarily going to be the be all end all of moves for you, but it feels like it's the right one for you guys right now. And I see it being something that is kind of the foundation for the next steps in your lives. And that's really exciting. Kayla, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. All right, we've got Annika here. Hi, Annika. Thanks for joining us. Annika's wondering, can I please get a reading about my stepson's mom? She passed away 8 months ago. Oh, first of all, I'm really sorry to hear that. My heart goes out to all of you because that's a really difficult thing. That one's kind of tricky for me. We don't do mediumship on the show, but what I can ask is if there's anything, if there are any messages that are coming through that your stepson needs to know. Let me take a look and see what we have. Mediumship is not my forte, and actually, I would usually suggest that people go to see Bobby. She's on the Universal Connections page. You'll also find her, Bobby Roundtree, Born Medium. But let's take a look and see what we have. Oh, okay. So it feels like there's a lot of there's a lot of grief, which feels like that's to be expected. It's not been that long since she's passed, and I'm feeling a lot of back and forth that's kind of coming up. I'm really wanting to encourage your stepson to do some really big grieving. It feels like on the one hand there's a lot that's coming out, but on the other hand I feel like I'm holding a lot back as well. And I've got some concern that's coming up for him around not holding on in the grieving process. And it feels like it's probably important for him to see the adults and the people around him going through whatever grief they might be experiencing as well. Kids, and he's coming through relatively young, but he also flips up as being in his teens as well. So I'm having a hard time placing his age. But when I ask, what I'm seeing is that he is needing role models to show him how to grieve, and for it to be okay to feel this much, because I have a lot that's coming up that feels like it is very overwhelming, and it feels like he's having a hard time putting that into something so it's staying in his body. I'm wanting to look for ways to be active in that grieving process, in that releasing process. And he's showing me that movement is really important for him too, that he needs to be moving and be physically active in his body, that this is part of the way that he grieves, but it's also part of what keeps him healthy and balanced and well. So movement is feeling really important. Let's see, we're going to go to the messages from your angels, and we're just going to see what message comes through. Hold on, what do we have? So the card that we have here is the Ariel card. And I really appreciate that for this question. The message is: new psychic and spiritual experiences are changing the way you view the world and yourself. Allow your spiritual gifts to open through study, prayer, and meditation. And this is a really beautiful... I wanted to say gift, but it's really difficult to look at something as being a gift when there's a lot of grief that's being felt. It feels to me like there are a lot of openings that could potentially be happening for your stepson, and it does feel like his mom is trying to reach out to let him know that she is around, that she is well. She does feel like she has crossed over. And just to know that there are experiences that he's going through that are feeling like they're really positive things overall, but that it's a bit of a rocky journey along it. I really would encourage connecting with somebody who is a medium, because it feels like they'll have more insight, not only in terms of what she's trying to relay back, but also in terms of the things that he can be doing, and possibly that you and his dad can be doing to support him as well. Annika, it was such a pleasure connecting with you this evening. My heart goes out to your stepson and all who loved his mom. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support to all of you. Thanks for joining us. All right, we've got Ange here. Hi, Ange. Thanks for joining us this evening. I've missed you too. So Ange says, my mom and I have slowed things way down. Oh, man, not mom, man. Sorry. And you're taking it one date at a time, which has been amazing. We have insane chemistry and so much fun together. It's clear as a soul connection. We've sparked each other's healing, and now we've leveled up individually. Amazing. Is this a long-term relationship if we keep going like this? Okay, let's take a look and see. So I am seeing yes. Like, I do see that there's the possibility for that. It feels like there is a lot of great connection, a lot of great chemistry. Things do feel like they're going well. And it feels like you guys are in really great sync together. It reminds me of two people who are running in a race where there's like a little bit of competition there, but it's also really friendly and like you're keeping pace with each other. And so like that it's feeling really stable and consistent. And yeah, I might go over here for a little bit and you might go over there for a little bit, but we're going to come back together. And we're going to keep going. And so that's feeling really good. The thing that has me kind of hesitant is I'm seeing him kind of veering right off. And that's part of what is making me say, I'm not 100% sure that this is long-term. I do see that there is the option and the possibility for it. You guys are doing the things that would allow it to be something that is steady and consistent. And it feels like it's a really great rhythm and a really great groove. But it's going to come up. There is like a stumbling block that comes up. And this feels like this is like a level of healing. So I don't want to encourage you to look for it. It's not something that you dig for. It's something that you just kind of come across it when you come across it. And it feels like there might be something where it's causing him to veer off a little bit. There is always the opportunity and the option to come back. As long as he's veering, he's really clear with you about what's happening, what's going on. This thing that he's stumbling over, it needs to be addressed. It's not something that he can like trip over and just get back up again. It is something that is going to take him off course, off path for a little bit. That's not quite the right way to say it, because he's not actually off course and he's not off path and he's not off track, because it's something that he needs to do. It's part of his healing journey. It's part of his life. It's something that he needs to address in order to be able to continue forward with you. What I mean is, from a relationship perspective, he's kind of not in sync with you. That's probably the better way to put it. So it does feel like it is a relationship. I want to encourage you guys to continue along with it, because that is feeling really good. If something comes up for him, recognize that he might kind of say, hey, I need to take a little bit of space, or I need to take a little bit of a break. It feels like you are at a point in your healing journey, and that you guys are in a place in your relationship where you're like, yeah, take what you need. And so that's feeling really positive. And I appreciate that about him, because it is something that he needs to address. And if he doesn't, then it just kind of sits there, and then it becomes almost like a ball and chain, and it kind of starts to drag him back. So where the two of you had been like this, he's suddenly kind of limping and you're like this, and he's like, oh, I'm limping back. And so he needs to address it. Let's take a look. We're going to go to the Archangel Oracle card deck, and we're just going to ask, what does Ange need to know about the relationship with this special guy? Interesting. The card that we have coming up here is Clairvoyance. This is Archangel Raziel. His message is, I am helping your spiritual sight to awaken fully so you can clearly see heavenly love. And that's really exciting. That feels like that actually has a lot less to do with like the two of you in your relationship, as it has to do with the spiritual openness and awareness and experiences that you're both having. Often this will come up for one person or the other, but I'm excited to see this coming up for both of you. So that could even be part of where this bit of stumbling block is coming up, is that this is something either that's new for him or uncomfortable for him, or he's got something that he's needing to release and let go so that he can fully explore it. But it is feeling positive, and I am wanting to encourage you to practice doing things on from a clairvoyant point of view. So clairvoyance is one of the 4 primary ways that we receive intuitive messages and information. It literally means clear sight and clear vision. So pay attention to the things that you're seeing. And one of the things that I noticed, just as a last thing, is all of the imagery that was coming up around this message today, or pardon me, all of the messages, they were primarily clairvoyant. They were primarily vision that was coming through. And that says a lot to me that that's probably a big part of what you're receiving right now too. So pay attention to that. And it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. All right, let me see. Catherine, that's so sweet. Catherine saying, sending you much love and light. As always, I am guided by your example. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you, Catherine. I appreciate that. Self-care is utmost. It really is. Self-care, self-awareness, they're all about survival. Okay. So I'm sending big love and support your way, Catherine. Thanks for joining us. And we have another Catherine here. Hi, second Catherine. Thanks for joining us this evening. Catherine's wondering when and how she will meet her romantic love. So I'm hearing when you least expect it, but I know that's not what you're asking. So when I ask about how this person is coming in, they're coming in very softly. It feels like it's not somebody like winging the door open and honey, I'm home. It's more a little bit in and a little bit out, and a little bit in and a little bit out. And I'm hearing also the hokey pokey too. You put your right arm in, you put your right arm out, you put your right arm. So there's a little bit of back and forth that's happening. I don't think you've already met this person. It feels like that's still something that's coming. I am hearing 3. And I'm just asking, it doesn't feel like it's 3 days. It's not 3 weeks. It could be 3 months. It could be 3 months. There's something that's telling me that feels a little bit soon, but it also feels like this person, as I said, is somebody who's going to be in and out of your life for a little bit. So it is entirely possible that this is somebody that you're going to be connecting with in the next 3 months. We're the beginning of May right now. So all of May, all of June, all of July. So sometime in the summer is when this is coming up. I'm wanting to look at festival. It feels like there's opportunity that comes up around meeting somebody in a large gathering of people. It feels like it's very uplifted. There's a lot of joy that's there. And I have the sense of doing some form of work together as well. So either it is something that has a spiritual basis or it has some sort of supportive basis to it. But it feels like there is something that is pulling both of you to this place, to this movement, to this experience. And it feels like there's a connection that's made. I wonder also if this is somebody who doesn't live close by, which in part explains this sense of in and out, because it's difficult to connect with each other on a regular basis in person. So there is a bit of time that comes up with this. But it does feel like it's worthwhile exploring. And it feels very comfortable. It feels like the two of you are able to find a really comfortable sync and a comfortable groove together. And part of it has to do with the fact that there's a lot that you share. There's a mutual interest, a mutual desire, the way that you want to live your lives, the way that you want to walk on this earth is really similar, and it resonates together. It feels like that's part of what brings you together. And then there is passion that the two of you share as well. So it feels like it's a really beautiful connection. It just takes a little time to grow and build. And that feels like that's okay, because it also doesn't feel like you're quite ready just yet to have somebody unpack in your life and just, honey, I'm home. You're not there yet. So it's good that it's taking a little bit of time, because that allows you to become accustomed to this new energy. One of the things that's coming up really strongly is that somebody who is right there in your face isn't going to work. It's going to be too much of an affront to the senses, and it needs to be slow and needs to have a bit of time that is taken, a bit of care that is taken. We've got two cares. We've got 2 cards. So the first card that we have here, I love this. This is the Astara card. You deserve the best. Reach for the stars with your dreams and desires, and don't compromise. This is something that a lot of people will do in relationship and partnership because they're ready to be with somebody else. I think that there is a certain amount of compromise that we do make in relationships, and that's important, that both people are making compromise. But it's also important to make sure that you're not feeling like you're scraping the bottom of the barrel. in order to bring love into your life. And I suspect that that is something that you have worked on and you've got a pretty good handle on it. The next card that we have here is the Teresa card. And Teresa says, time out. You've been so busy taking care of everyone else's needs, but now it's time to stop and take care of yourself. And it feels like that's a really important and valid point as well, to make sure that you are taking time out of the day, out of the week, to make sure that you are re-energizing, recharging yourself. Again, this feels like this is something that you have been working on, and it's a balance that you find, and then sometimes you fall off track and then you find the balance again. So it feels like possibly you're in a place or a state where you're needing a little extra, a little more self-care than perhaps you usually do, but it feels like it's temporary. So allow yourself to take care of you. Catherine, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. Let me see. Okay, so we've got Cassandra here. Hi, Cassandra. Thanks for joining us. Cassandra is asking for the green deck, and she chose the blue appetite. Okay, so what does my location look like for the next year? Been at my dad's for 6 months, helping downsize in the Lower Mainland, but would really like to get back to my roots on the island, possibly to continue to help friends with my skills. Left the island April 2021, and it was a mistake. Okay, let's take a look. You know, it's really interesting. I do feel the island for you, but I'm actually really being drawn over to what I believe is the Sunshine Coast and Powell River. This feels like it's temporary, but there's something that's there that is for you. So if there are any retreats that are there, or if you have friends or family that are there, I want to encourage you to go and to visit. There's something there that you are needing. I don't think that you're going to be moving there, or if you do, it's very temporary. Either there's some sort of like summer job or position or something that you're able to do there. I can't quite tell what it is, but the Sunshine Coast is really pulling me and drawing me for you, Cassandra. When I ask about coming back to the island, I have this like deep breath and this relax that happens in my body. It feels like the island is in your blood. That's what I want to say about the island for you. I do see a place here for you, but it feels like there's a bit of back and forth that's happening, and it doesn't feel like it's completely what you're wanting and needing. It does feel like there's compromise that's happening. I do see a place in terms of like social and cultural, but the challenge with the place feels like it might have to do with housing. And I'm frustrated to say that because I do know that we have a real challenge with housing here, but I'm seeing a really creative solution that's coming up for you. And it feels like it has more to do with space. And I'm wondering if there is some sort of alternative housing that is going to become available. It's not ready yet. And that's part of the reason that we have this back and forth feeling. There's a sense that potentially that's part of the reason that the Sunshine Coast is coming up, but that it's a place to be for the time being. But it feels like there's the opportunity to move around a little bit, and then you find your place and you settle in. I do have the fall coming up, but I'm having a hard time really pinpointing when in the fall that would be, because I see September, then I see October, then I see November. So there's a lot of fluidity to it. And I suspect that part of it might have to do with how much you were willing to compromise initially. Much you want to compromise. It's coming. All I can say is the fall. It's not clear enough for me to say, you're moving in September 18th. Though I would love that for you. It feels like it's a little more complicated than that. But I also see you holding on and just trusting and following what is there for you, because it feels like there's opportunity, and it feels like boom, then it comes into place. So do follow it. And I love this. The card that we got for you is the Azure card. This one came up with the initial readings. Your desired outcome will occur in the very near future. Have patience and faith, and don't try to force it to happen. One of the things that I love about the imagery on this card is we have this angel. She is literally taking off. She's taking flight, but her chest, her heart is out. That's what she is following. She's following her heart. And there's a great big huge clock right in behind her. And to me, that has to do with timing, that everything happens exactly as it needs to, but it's still really important to make sure that you're following your heart. So part of what I'm hearing and what you're saying is your heart is on the island. Follow that and ask for help and support in coming into that point and place where your space is here. Cassandra, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, and know that there is a place here for you. Awesome. And Catherine says a YouTube channel would be amazing for you. I actually have a YouTube channel. It is Heavenly Messenger. And Bobby and I have been streaming our last couple of the last couple of Oracle chats there. And actually this live stream is on my YouTube page right now as well. So there is a YouTube channel. And hello to Carrie. It's always so good to see you. I'm sending big hugs and love back to you. Thank you. Okay, so Valerie's saying, I'm burnt out with my job. I believe it's affecting my mental state. Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing. It's amazing what burnout can do. Let's take a look and see if there are any messages that are coming up for you around that, Valerie, because it feels like there are things we can do. So I'm seeing you clearing your desk. I don't know if you have a job that has a desk, but I'm wanting to encourage you to clear out your space, clear off your space before you leave at the end of the day. And if you can, take a couple of minutes at the beginning of your day, 10, 15 minutes to arrive in your space and to set your intentions for what the day is going to look like. I'm also seeing cards for you. So way back in 2005, when I first started this part of my journey, I was working in a job that had really amazing people. It was a really amazing opportunity for a young student who wanted to become an accountant. But it was so stressful for me. I was so incredibly burnt out, and it was just sucking the life out of me. And it was actually when I bought this very first deck of cards. I'm not sure that these are the actual ones. I've gone through a couple of these decks because I use them so often. But what I would do at night before I went to bed, and I would actually even take them to work with me sometimes, and I'd pull cards for myself at work, and I would connect with my angels, and I would ask them for help and support in coming into a place of peace in myself and in my body. And that's a big part of what I have coming up for you right now, Valerie, is, it doesn't necessarily have to be through cards or even with angels, but it feels like there is a need to create peace in your life, even if it's only 15 minutes at a time, and even if it's only at the end of the day. And it feels like once you start creating that time in that space and that opportunity for peace, it feels like slowly things start to not unravel, but the opportunity is created for more experience for peace. And part of what I'm seeing with work is that there's the need for some really clear boundaries. I have a lot of expectation that feels like it's being placed upon you. I can't tell if this is expectation from somebody who's above you, or from people around you, or from customers or clients. I can't tell exactly where this expectation is coming from. Sometimes the expectation comes from us, but it feels like there's a lot of expectation that you are experiencing. And what I'm seeing is needing to literally create that space, like clear it out. One of the images that comes up for me, in the movies, when the leading couple is about to get busy and they're in the office, and one of them like sweeps all of the stuff off of the table, off of the desk rather. That's what I'm seeing for you. Not necessarily that you're going to be hooking up with somebody at work. In fact, I'd probably discourage you from doing that, but clearing the space, creating that boundary. There's a sense of needing to just be really straightforward and clear. This belongs on the desk. That does not belong on the desk, so it goes. So become really clear about where your boundaries are, and take some time off. If you are at all able to, take a bit of time off, because the burnout is really feeling real, and it is having an effect and an impact. So utilize that knowledge and that awareness, and allow that to help you make your choices and decisions. What will help to bring me peace? What helps to bring balance into my life? What helps to ease my mental state? Because the burnout is real. We're going to the mermaids and dolphins. Usually you know what, we're going to pull two for you. We're just going to ask. We've got one here. I love it. And we're going to the archangels as well. So the first card that I have is the morning affirmations card. This is with the Mermaids and Dolphins Oracle card deck. Say positive affirmations each morning to open the gates of manifestation. So one of the things that this can look like rather is getting up first thing in the morning. I am going to have an amazing day today. There's going to be plenty of time for me to do the things that I need to do. When I do them, I'm going to feel energized. I'm not going to feel the pressure of anything being on my plate. If I have challenges with coworkers or with people that I work with in some other way, they're just going to be released and everything's going to be okay. I am going to have an amazing day today, and I'm going to prioritize self-care for myself today. I am going to actively look for 2 or 3 things that I can do that really honors where I am right now. They don't have to be big things, but it's something. And the card that I got, because we pulled 2 from the Archangel Oracle card deck, is the Relationship Harmony card. This is Archangel Raguel. We angels are opening the hearts of everyone involved. Arguments and conflicts are being resolved now. We're asking about work. So if there are any challenges with people that you work with or customers or clients, what they're saying is don't hide, don't allow the resentment to breed, but it feels like it's important to tackle it in as loving and positive a way as you possibly can. And you might say, hey, there aren't any arguments or conflicts right now. So maybe this is the need to ask for some space in order to take care of yourself, or the need to take a couple of things off of your plate so that you can continue to be there and to show up for the other things that you can handle. And then in the future, maybe you add some of those things back, but definitely take care of you, Valerie. It was such a pleasure connecting with you today. I'm so grateful that you joined us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, and support your way. Okay, we've got Brienne here. Hi, Brienne. Thanks for joining us. You want the guides deck. Will I get back to full-time work this summer, and will it be at my current job? I'm on a gradual return to work after a hiking accident. Where I badly broke my ankle. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sending lots of healing to your ankle. I'm assuming that it's in the right place now, that everything is where it's supposed to be. So it's okay to send the healing. Okay, let's take a look and see what we have. I am seeing you getting back to work, and it does feel like you're getting back this summer, but it feels like there's some sort of adjustment that's being made. So I'm wondering if you are possibly going back to the place where you worked, but in a slightly different capacity. It doesn't feel like it's at a reduced capacity. It feels more like if you were doing something that was fairly active, I'm just going to use this as an example, 100% of the time, then it feels like the adjustment you're going back to is you're doing 75% of that and then 25% something else. And it actually feels like it's something that's beneficial in the long run. So either you're taking new responsibilities on, or you're kind of going in a slightly different direction. I do see this being a positive thing overall, because it feels like it's giving you like a broader perspective or a broader scope. There might be some sort of training that's involved with it in order to be able to do this thing. But one of the things that I am appreciative of where you are right now is it feels like your employer or employers are wanting to do whatever they can to make sure that you're able to stay. And that feels like that's really positive, because it means that they're willing to work with you with where you are and what works best for you. And I'm also they're showing me pay coming up. I'm seeing it staying the same or getting better, but it feels like you might need to negotiate for that. So don't be afraid to stand your ground, because it feels like they want you to stay. So I just want to double check that I've answered the card. So will you get back to full-time work this summer? Yes, it feels like you will. And will it be at your current job? Mostly. So as I said, it feels like you're going to be going back at not a reduced capacity, but in a slightly different capacity, not overall, but in part. And it feels like that's what allows you to go back at a full-time level in the summer. And as I said, that opens up opportunities for you, and it feels like it's a positive thing. Who would have thought that having a hiking accident where you badly break your ankle could end up being a positive thing for your work? So the card that we have here for you is Rochelle. As you honor and follow the guidance of your heart, prosperity is coming to you now. So one of the things that comes up with this is if you don't want to be going back to the current job that you're in, I do see that there is an opening for that as well, and prosperity and abundance is there. So don't go into a mindset of lack. Go into a mindset of prosperity, that not only can you have at least what you need to survive and more, but you can also do something that you enjoy that honors where your body is and where your health and healing is. Brianne, it was such a pleasure connecting with you today. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, and lots of healing to your ankle too. Okay. Okay, let me see. I see here, Annika. Annika, we talked to you earlier about your stepson's mother who had passed away, and the question that you had, is she okay? Yeah, she was coming through that she was okay. She was worried though. She was worried about her son, about your stepson, and the grieving messages were coming up really strongly with that. So I hope that brings some peace to you guys. And again, I would encourage you to see somebody who is a medium, because they will be able to get a lot more than I'm able to get for you. Okay. So we've got Carol Ann here. Hi, Carol Ann. Thanks for joining us. Carol Ann's asking, I'm going through a lot right now. Will things get better for me and my husband? Okay, let's take a look and see. So I've got some physical discomfort that's coming up for you, Carol Ann. And I'm not 100%. I've got a lot that's coming up at like the root chakra. And the root chakra is, first of all, it's connected to like the muscular structure in our body, particularly the legs. For men, it has to do with reproductive organs. For all of us, it has to do with like money and finances and material and financial stability. And so I'm wanting to, on a physical level, make sure that you're taking care of your physical body. Sometimes when we're going through challenging and difficult times, particularly if there's stress, and if there's stress in one of our primary relationships, it's really easy to let go of what the things that we need to do in order to support our physical bodies. So the message that's coming through is to make sure that you're still prioritizing taking care of your physical body. So that could be exercise or stretching or sleep or proper and adequate food, eating on a regular basis, making sure that you're hydrated. So all of those basic things that we do to make sure that we take care of our physical bodies, make sure that you and your husband are continuing to take care of those things too, because it can just be one more thing on top of a whole pile of stressors. And often it's something we have a fair amount of control over. So make sure that you're focusing on your physical health and well-being for you and for your husband, that he's doing the same. When I ask about what's going on for you guys, I see a bit of a roller coaster. It feels like it's really difficult to find a sense of ground and a sense of stability, because it feels like it's one thing and then another thing and then another thing. And it feels like you guys are really struggling to find any sort of sense of balance and ground. So actually grounding can also be part of that physical experience as well. What I'm hearing is making sure that you're taking time off from the things that are creating stress and creating challenge and creating difficulty. And I realize that that's easier said than done, but it feels like that's a big part of what you guys are needing. You're needing like a mini vacation from the stresses that you hold on, that you hold. So at the end of the day, if you can, take them off. If you and your husband are needing to talk about the things that are challenging, then set aside time that you do that, and then set aside time where you're focusing on the things that you love and enjoy and appreciate about each other, about life, about the things that are going well in your life. It does feel like as soon as there's a sense of balance, then everything gets better. And the imagery that I'm getting with that is from the dish soap cleaning commercials. You know, they've just done the dishes, the dirty dishes, and they've got the water and it's full of oil and grease, and they put just a little drop of Dawn in there and it repels the grease. that's what I'm seeing for you, is that as soon as one part and one piece comes into a place of balance, it has this dawn effect on the greasy water, and it pushes everything away. And suddenly everything else can kind of start to come into balance. So when it comes to dealing with the challenge, take a look at all of the things that you're dealing with and look to see if there are any of them that you can um, resolve. And sometimes resolving it or is a temporary thing, in that, you know what, this isn't actually a priority, so we're not going to focus on it right now. We're just going to take it off of the table altogether. That can go. We can feed that to the dogs. We're not even going to think about that. It's going to be gone. And as soon as you start to find one thing that you can create, that you can bring into balance, everything else comes into balance as well. So I do see that there is a change that's coming up for you guys, but it feels like it has to do with the things that you are doing, as opposed to things that are happening outside of yourself that are bringing in the balance. So if I look at the messages that came through, take off of your plate what you can. And then the other thing is making sure that you are taking care of your physical health and wellness, and also creating that time in your relationship and your partnership, so that life isn't only about the things that are challenging, but that you are taking time just for you and just for the two of you. We're going to the Mermaids and Dolphins Oracle card deck for your question tonight, Carol Ann, and we're just going to ask, what do you need to know? Whew. That's a big one. The card that we have coming up for you this evening is self-forgiveness. Let go of old guilt and remember, that you're God's perfect child. You know, when a card like this comes up, it says that there's probably a lot of healing that we need to do. Self-forgiveness can be a really difficult one. With forgiveness, it can be as simple as saying, I forgive myself for staying in a situation. I forgive myself for ignoring my intuition or the messages that were saying that this was wrong. I forgive myself for any of the things I did to contribute to this situation. I forgive myself, and I allow myself to have compassion for myself and for the other people in this situation too. If we can come back to a point and a place where everybody is human, then it's a lot easier to deal and to cope with the things that are happening around us. So I'm reminded of Maya Angelou, and one of the things that she said was, when we know better, we do better. And it feels like there's an opportunity for opening here. And also, that's one of the things that helps to release some of the challenge and the stress. I will probably be doing a full moon releasing activity in a couple of weeks as we get closer to the full moon. I hope that you will join us. I will probably put it on my Facebook page so that people can join in. There won't be any sort of cost or fee associated with it. And one of the practices we go through is forgiveness. And so I hope that you'll be able to join in for that, because I suspect that there is opportunity to release some of the stuff, even if it's not directly getting something off of your plate. It can help to open up and to release part of the challenge that we hold on to and that we feel, and that the experience that we have with the things that are challenging to us then becomes easier. Carol Ann, it was a pleasure connecting with you this evening. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, and support your way. We have come to the end of our time this evening. I'm so incredibly grateful to each and every one of you for taking time out of your day to spend here with me. I'm Erin Lee of heavenlymessenger.com. This was Connection with Intention. My intention is to be back with you again next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific, which is 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on my Facebook page, as well as on my YouTube page. And I hope that you have an incredibly fabulous week in between. If you would like to connect for a personal reading, you can do so on my website, bookingwitherin.com. That's where all of my availability is. And I'd love to connect with you. Sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. We'll see you next week.